So this is actually my view of the market at the moment on EU. So if we are to go to the 4 hour time frame on EU, we can see this red denotes the daily internal. This red candles trend lines. These red lines denote the daily break of structure. So no, the daily internal actually, but let's just call it the daily. This is a break of structure on the daily time frame. Then on the 4 hour time frame, you can see we after the break of structure here, we switched bullish on the 4 hour. Then we started breaking structure all the way to the upside, using this as inducement to tap into the extreme order block. Then after we tapped into the extreme order block, we broke structure here to the downside. You can see we had a market structure shift back to the downside. And recently, I've been actually marking my order block with two candles, not just a candle. So if you have to look at this, what actually happened there was this was actually the internal pullback. These are the internal break of structures, internal break of structure. Then we had the main break of structure here, then we had the main market structure shift here. So after that market structure shift, you can see the market went all the way back up. I guess not actually tapping into this ground yet, but we went all the way back up here. We went all the way back up. Yeah. Let's say tapping into this big order block all the way from here to here. That's a grand order block, I guess. A very huge order block all the way here. Let's say we tap into that. Because there are sometimes, it's not even sometimes, most times, the market has already tap into order block. But on a like the bigger order block is refinement. Most times it is refinement that actually cause us to think another block has not been mitigated, I guess. Yeah, let me put it that way. So we had the break of structure here to the downside. After this break of structure to the downside, you can see marking my last two candle, which is this, the last top candle and the previous one. You can see how huge the other block is. And you can see it was not tapped into here. When the market came out of that order block, after where the whole order, there's a whole lot of order exchanging hands here. When the market came out of the order, it didn't actually tap into the other block. This makes it an inducement, and it continued to the downside and broke another structure. The market came all the way back, tapped into that big order block. Most people will be looking to sell from here, but you can see the market did not actually go the way up here. It swept this inducement, tapped into the big order block. Then you can see you had a market structure shift here. So now what we are expecting now is for the market to break another structure to the downside. Maybe probably after the break of structure, when we want to come back for another pullback, you can see all these are efficient. So maybe probably when we want to come for another pullback, we cannot tap into this other block using this as inducement because there's efficiency all the way down. Using all this as inducement to tap into this other block before we continue going all the way down, because we are still expecting to break this red line down here. We are still expecting to break the structure to the downside. That's the daily break of structure. So this is the 4 hour high. I'm using the red dotted line just to denote that we are not supposed to break this red line. And I usually use like this one is going to be green dotted line. So norms, the market can actually do anything, but norms, we are expected to break this green. Green means go. This red is stop. So going down to the 15 minutes time frame, there's also something apart from me using two candles as my order block. There's actually something I also do. I also mark internal structures. Not most, just few. Just it comes by once in a while. You see internal structure in a structure. Sometimes you just see 15 minutes will switch after a break of structure on the 4 hour, maybe to the downside. You see the market will switch bullish on the 15 minutes, and when the market switch bearish back on the 15 minutes, then we are ready to go and break the swing low of the 4 hour. It actually happens like that, like most of the times. Like let me go back to give you some examples right here. But there are sometimes we actually have internal structures. See what happened here. Okay. Let's say we switched bearish here on the 15 minutes. See, we broke structure to the upside, bullish, bullish, then we switch bearish here all the way. This is another break of structure all the way down here. This is another break of structure all the way down here. This is another break of structure here. We had a little tiny sweep above this high because if you notice, this leg was not having inducement, so we had a sweep above this high. Then we continue, we broke structure to the downside, then we broke structure again. Let me zoom in well so you can see what I'm saying. Then we broke structure again to the downside. I can classify this because based on the amount of candles that is here, and this actually swaps liquidity, so I can actually count this as a leg. Then we switch bullish. It's as easy as that. When we switch bullish, you know we are going for the pullback on the 4 hour time frame because we had a break of structure here to the downside on the 4 hour, denoted by this black dotted line. Then we switch bullish. We had another break of structure. Then this is a type 2 market structure shift. If you have to count this is a type 2 market structure shift. But and you can see we have, if you are not to count this as a type 2 market structure shift, you know we are actually the internal structure. We're actually forming internal structure here. So, and we tapped into the 4 hour extreme order block, which is right here. You can see that's the 4 hour, this one is 4 hour extreme order block. Then okay, let's say we switch bearish back here. Then if you are not to count this as a type 2 market structure shift, why I usually use type 2, where I use type 2 is whenever the market actually taps into like this. You can see this is the 4 hour. This is where we are expected to go after the break of structure of the 4 hour to the downside. That's the only available what's it called? That's the only available order block left to be tapped into. This was a sweep. So on the 4 hour, it will actually show as an it will be an inducement. It will be very obvious, and most people will be trying to sell from here on the 4 hour. But this was just the inducement to tap into this other block. There's something, and another thing is I like my structures to have inducement than a structure having inducement is way more powerful than a structure that swaps liquidity. I've noticed that this, like, in the past few days. Your structure, when it has inducement, fine. I don't actually really consider a structure that swaps liquidity, but I go for the one that has inducement. So this has an inducement on the 4 hour. It swaps this 15 minutes, and you can see we switch bearish and we broke structure to the downside. That's a very, very simple structure. Break of structure to the upside to facilitate the 4 hour pullback. Then break market structure shifts back to the downside to facilitate the continuation. It's as easy as that. But there are sometimes you have, see what I'm saying right here. We broke structure back to the downside on the 4 hour. Then we had a 15 minutes break of structure. Then we had the market structure shift on the 15 minutes right here. We had the market structure shift right here. Break of structure, break of structure, break of structure. If I'm to zoom in well, you will know the reason of me counting this as break of structures. Because I have rules for my break of structure. It is either 1, it swaps liquidity; 2, it retraces 50% of the leg; 3, it is the amount of candles; and 4, it is corrective. Yeah, that's another reason. It is corrective. That's another reason. But this pullback is quite, this pullback, after we had this break of structure to the downside, this pullback is having an internal structure. People sold from here, from this market right here. People sold from here. That was why we had the market structure shift. And this actually created more inducement for the market to sweep. This is the first inducement here on the 4 hour. This created more inducement here. We switched bearish on the 15 minutes. And people will start shorting from here. I'm very sure about that. Some people will start shorting from there. But you know what happened? We switched bullish back. We had like 2 break of structure and switch bullish back. That's why I marked this with a purple line denoting an internal structure. An internal structure just happened here because we switched bearish and we switched bullish back. That made this an internal structure. And you can see with all the, I usually mark the 15 minutes internal structure. The 15 minutes internal structure. The 15 minute structure is denoted with this red line, while the internal is denoted with this peak. So the market did whatever it was doing here, which I don't understand. In times like this, I just watch the market and let it play out. That's not being greedy. Then we had the market structure shift of the internal structure. Note, the 4 hour is more powerful than the internal structure, and the internal structure is more powerful than the 15-minute structure. That's how it goes. The 4 hour, the internal, then 15 minutes. Now that we have an internal structure and we have the market structure shift of the internal structure here, now you know your pullback. The 15 minutes you have to switch bullish again to facilitate the internal structure pullback. And that's exactly what happened. You can see, well, this internal market structure shift is also the 15 minutes market structure shift, because this was the last break of structure we had here on the 15 minutes. This was the last actually break of structure we had here. So this is the swing, and this is both the internal market structure shift and the 15 minutes market structure shift. Then we had another 15 minutes break of structure. We had another 15 minutes break of structure here again. See inducements right here. Another inducement created here. We had a market structure shift again here. Then we had a break of structure on the 15 minutes here again. So the market went on. You can see after this swoop, you can start seeing internal structures, and you know that we've actually broken out of the internal structure. So we are expecting a market structure shift. And when you see a structure like this having internal structure, you can actually use a type 2 market structure shift here. Type 2. Like, you don't need this high to be broken before you start longing. You can use a type 2 market structure shift here, a break of structure, and possibly you can trade out all the way to the upside. But note, the 15-minute structure us switching bullish on the 15-minute structure is actually just to facilitate the internal structure. It is to facilitate the internal structure. Then we broke structure. We had another break of structure here. Even to zoom in very well, I will actually classify that as a break of structure because we swept some low here. It came down. It is corrective. From this red candle, we came down all the way to this here, all the way to this place. We went all back in this green candle, and we broke the structure back down to the downside. That was quite corrective. Then we went all the way up. So we had another market structure when we tapped into the extreme order block of the internal structure. Note, that's the extreme order block of this internal structure. We had a break here. We had a 15 minutes market structure shift back to the downside. Then the last two candles I marked up. I usually mark the last two candles. The tallest candle and the prior one, the one before it, I marked it out. And you can see we tapped into the zone. Then we broke back. We had another break of structure. Then after this break, where do you think we are going after this market structure shift? We are going to break another low. We are going to break, because this is the lowest point. This is the lowest point on the internal structure. This is the lowest internal structure point. So we are going all the way down to break this low. Then we switch. You see, we started breaking structure to the downside on 15 minutes. Break of structure. Then we actually broke and closed here. Not with much conviction, but I'll actually go with that. I'll actually not with much conviction, but I'll actually go with that. So we had a break of structure here. And it is not just a week, it is 2 candles actually. So then after this break of structure, what are we expecting? A market structure shift on the 15 minutes to facilitate what? The internal pullback again, which is all the way from this high to this low. So what we need is just a pullback into the extreme order block that has inducements. This is the inducements right here. You can see double top. Most people will be shorting from here, I guess. Double top. Tap into the extreme order block, then break this low, which will also be breaking the 4-hour leg to the downside. Then see what happened here. You had the market structure shifts. We broke structure to the upside. After tapping into the extreme order block, which I actually even refined for a nice entry. I actually refined it. In the big order block, I noticed something. In that huge order block, the first nice order block in that zone is actually going to be the zone. It happened on G also. Like, I've actually seen it multiple times. So we tapped into the extreme order internal structure block. Note this pullback. This pullback was just to facilitate the internal structure. Then after tapping into same thing that happened on that previous one, you can see this swoop, this huge move into it. We tap into the extreme order block. You don't need to wait for this low to be broken. You can actually look for type 2 market structure shift, type 2. there are two market structure shifts. Then you start shorting from there. And you can see we actually now broke the structure here. We had the market structure shift here. This other block was just to facilitate the pullback. Was just facilitate a pullback. We had the market structure shift here. Then the market, you can see we not break another structure, we not go below slow. Then the market went all the way up to facilitate the pullback. Then when we tapped into this 50 minutes, you can see we had a slight market structure shift here. You can see we had a small market structure shift here. Let me zoom in. So in the coming days, I'll be looking these last two candles, this red and this extreme has been marked. You can see this is the other block. And you notice the red candle came out of the other block, then tapped back into the other block. So I feel like that has been mitigated. This is the only other block left. Only available other block left. And notice it's having a very nice liquidity, this green candle. You can see there was even a slight reaction from that green candle. You can see to the downside, giving us equal highs. This small candle high and this one relative equal highs. That will be the inducement. Then tap into this other block. So in the coming days, I'm expecting us to go all the way down from here. But if I'm entering from here, probably I'll be putting my stop loss above just to be safe, because the market can end up sweeping this high just to tap into this refined order block, which is just one candle, or even this very refined order block, which is just the weak of this highest candle. So I'll be putting my stop loss all the way above here just to be safe. Then I'll be looking to sell all the way down here, which will be the break of another internal structure and also the break of the 4-hour structure to the downside. So that will be all for today.